So this is part 2 for the hard truths about childhood, about adulthood I had to learn alone. So be sure to check out part 1 before you watch this, where I talked about family and workplace relationships. So now in part 2 I'm going to talk about romantic relationships and friendships. So I'm going to talk from a woman's perspective, like being in relationship with men, right? So for romantic relationships, when you're involved with men, dating or in a relationship, there are certain things you're going to see happening with most men, right? Things most men will be doing. I want to list off some stuff that you're going to see men would be doing and doing in dating, or if you're in a relationship with them. Just common behaviors. You're going to see common behaviors you need to look for, right? And one of the first things is you're gonna see men, while you're in romantic relationships with them, being involved with them, dating, you're gonna see they avoid communicating honestly with you, right? They're gonna shy away from having hard conversations. They're gonna avoid communicating, and sometimes you might hear they just might expect you to just know what they need. So you're gonna see a lack of communication skills with most men. You're gonna see them refusing to take responsibility for their actions and their words. They're gonna refuse to apologize when they're wrong, because you're gonna see them having a big ego. You're gonna see them having a lot of pride and prioritizing control over actually fixing the problem. You're going to see most men withdrawing emotionally, right? Withdrawing, shutting down, silent treatment, and all of these things, instead of actually walking through conflict, right? And I'm going to tell you where these behaviors are coming from soon, right? You're gonna see most men using anger and intimidating you, and using other things like silent treatment to just gain control, right? Instead of having hard conversations, walking through the problem, seeing what is wrong with them, you're gonna see they're using anger and silent treatment and being like defensive. You're also going to see most men being possessive, highly possessive, jealous, and trying to control who you talk to, who you see, and trying to mainly control your life, right? You're gonna see a lot of lying. Even small things, they just lie. It's just like it's compulsive, it's like automatic to just lie a lot. You're gonna see them hiding things. You're gonna see them pretending to be someone else. You're gonna see a lot of them being unfaithful. And they're doing all of this, lying, hiding stuff, being unfaithful. They're gonna expect you to be loyal. And they're gonna expect you to be a loyal partner while they're lying, cheating, pretending to be somebody else, hiding things. You're going to see them expecting you to support them, right? In any way, emotionally, financially, the health, whatever, without them actually offering anything in return or giving the bare minimum. Most men think that is normal, right? You're going to see men belittling you, mocking you, and criticizing you, and undermining you, right? Undermining your confidence, trying to bring you down. And that is because of insecurities within them. Some men, they are with their partner and they're jealous of them, envious of them, trying to one up them, competing with them. I talked about that before in another video, right? In previous videos, I talk about men competing with the woman that they're in love with, right? You're gonna see things that men would be doing while you're dating them and you're in a relationship with them, involved with them. they're gonna be dismissing your feelings. That is very common. Dismissing your feelings, ignoring your concerns, because most men, they put themselves first. They put their comfort first, right? Most men, they lack empathy. So they don't really see how their actions could affect you, or what they say, or how they behave. So for the most part, you're gonna see them dismissing your feelings, dismissing your concern. They might look at you as inferior to them or not as important. Your life, they might look at you as like your life is not as important to their life, or you're inferior, right? You're gonna see most men making promises to change, but they will never change. They would keep repeating the same behavior, and they would keep failing. They would not follow through. They would not change. They would not try to be better. Most men, how you meet them is how they're gonna stay. They're gonna stay stagnant, or they're gonna get worse. It's highly unlikely a man would change for the better, even for himself, right? You're gonna see most men, when there's an issue, when there's conflict or a problem, they're gonna switch the blame, right? They're gonna blame you for the problems, and these problems, they actually help to create these problems. Some of these problems you're gonna have in your relationship, they created them, and then they're gonna blame you for it. Love to shift the blame. You're gonna see that a lot, right? You're gonna see men avoiding committing to you while expecting the benefits of a committed relationship. You know, selfishness, very self-centered. You're gonna see men refusing to respect your boundaries, refusing to respect your privacy, refusing to respect your consent. Whether you give consent or not, they're gonna do what they want to do, right? Most men, they're just gonna also expect you to do most of the emotional work in the relationship. If you live with them, you're gonna do most of the household labor without, there wouldn't be like them sharing responsibility. You're gonna be taking care of most of the household duties and taking care of children, right? I see it all the time. Women are working and they have to take care of the house and the children. So you're not gonna see this sharing of responsibilities going on. That's what I see for the most part. You're gonna see a lot of manipulation going on with men. Manipulation, using guilt, trying to make you feel guilty to get their way, to get control. Gaslighting you, trying to make you feel like your reality is not real. What you're experiencing is not real, or you're lying, or you can't remember what happened. You're gonna use guilt tripping to get away without facing the consequences for their actions, right? You're gonna see them prioritizing pride, having a lot of pride over repairing the relationship. So men would risk losing a good woman by not being willing to apologize. So they prioritize their image over the relationship. They prioritize, their ego and their pride. They have a lot of pride and insecurities, so they don't want to admit that they were wrong, and they would not apologize because they are full of pride and they are willing to lose a good woman, right? So you're gonna see most men being defensive. Whenever you give feedback, whenever you give your opinion, whenever you give your perspective, and it's not in alignment with what they're thinking and how they feel and what they think should be, you're gonna see defensiveness instead of listening. Most men do not know how to listen, do not know how to actively listen to what you're saying, right? They automatically, sometimes you see this automatic defensiveness, pushing your concerns to the side, right? Most men, when you're talking to them, you might have an argument or a discussion, They're just trying to win the argument, and they're just trying for you to just stop talking and for you to just get out their face. They don't want to hear what you're saying. Most men don't really care about you, right? They care about what they're benefiting from you, and whatever they're interested in with you, that's what they care about, not necessarily you as a human or you as a person. So you're gonna also see men competing with you, especially if you're in a romantic relationship and you have influence, you have essence, you have substance, you could be popular, you get attention, you're intelligent, you're knowledgeable, wise, influential. They're gonna be competing with you secretly, and they're gonna be jealous of you and envious of your success. They're gonna be jealous, envious of your talents, your gifts, and your knowledge. Men are also jealous of your beauty, your influence, the attention you get. They're jealous when people admire you, so they would want to one up you in your career, in your business, whatever. So you could check out the video. He is secretly competing with you. Yes, 6 ways to reclaim your power and your peace, right? So you could check out that video. That's the video I wanted to mention earlier. So for men, right, being involved with men, dating men, being in a relationship with a man, you're going to see blatant immaturity. You're gonna see nonsensical behavior, pure hogwash, right? Complete nonsense, foolish behavior, right? They're gonna play mind games, they're gonna be dishonest, they're gonna have you thinking without the proper knowledge and experience. You will be thinking, like, what is really going on here with these men? Like, what is it? What is going on? I'm gonna tell you soon, just now. Most men, they are emotionally stunted. Like, while they were growing up, they never worked on their emotions, developing character, developing integrity, values. They are emotionally arrested, emotionally arrested development. They stop developing emotionally at a young age. That's the main problem, I would say, right? So the common root issues for why men are behaving like this when you're dating them, when you're in a relationship with them, for me, number one thing is emotional immaturity. It's immaturity, right? They're immature emotionally, so that is why they struggle to regulate their emotions. They're struggling to be responsible. They can't handle conflict in a proper way. Nobody perfect, right? We all learning as we go, but most men, they stop learning emotionally at a young age, right? So it's not like they're working on it, or they're improving, or they make a mistake here, they apologize and they do better. No, they're just stuck, right? Most men, the root cause of these behaviors, the second thing is this: they are just entitled. That's how they are. It looks like men were born, they're born entitled, right? Because you interact with them, you be involved with them, you have relationship with them, and you date them, and you see that they believe, you could see that they believe the things that they do. They believe that their needs and their wants and their opinions should always take priority over yours, right? The next thing is that they're insecure, right? That's one of the root issues. That's one of the root causes of these behaviors that I was talking about. They're insecure. They fear rejection. They fear abandonment. Most men, they don't feel like they're good enough, right? And that is why they're so jealous. They're jealous of your beauty. They're jealous of your career. They're jealous of your knowledge. They're jealous of your intelligence. They're jealous that you're influential, right? That is why they feel so insecure within themselves. That is why they try to control you, and they're possessive and they're defensive because they're insecure and have not worked on themselves. Most men also, one of the root cause of these behaviors is the lack of empathy. Right? Most men, they lack empathy. They have difficulty understanding or caring about somebody else's feelings, or they have a problem, or they might not be capable of how to see how their actions affect somebody else. Lack of empathy. And I don't know, maybe they could, like, maybe I'm not sure, I'm just speculating. Maybe men were born without something that is in the brain that deals with empathy, and they don't have it, and they lack it naturally. I'm not sure, because most men lack empathy. Everywhere we go, everywhere I go, you see that there's this lack of empathy in most men. So I'm not sure. Most men, they have poor self-awareness. Right? These are the main root causes of the behaviors you're gonna see. They're not self-aware. They keep repeating the same behaviors over and over, and no matter how it's harmful, they don't recognize that it's affecting you. Or you could just say they don't care. Right? Most men don't care about your feelings. They are only focused about what they got going on in their life. Right? The next thing is the unhealthy beliefs about masculinity. Right? Some of them, they grow up and they think that vulnerability is a weakness, and they think that being dominant and being controlling and being possessive, it's like it would gain respect, and that equals respect, right? And they will never change. They would not ask for help. They might not even acknowledge that something is wrong with them. So they're gonna stay like that. Most of them, right? Most men, they learn these behaviors that I was talking about. They learn them from their fathers. They repeat the same behavior they saw growing up in their unhealthy, in the unhealthy relationship that their parents had. They see it and they just replaying it, right? And they just learn that behavior from their father, from their peers, from other men. And they just repeat the behavior without even thinking about it. The next main common root issue about men is just the unwillingness to take accountability. They would not take accountability for their actions, their words, their behaviors, the things that they say. That is why they ghost you. That is why they disappear off the earth. Because they don't wanna, that is why they don't apologize. That is why they go missing. That is why they're defensive, because they don't want to take accountability. That is why they use silent treatment, because they don't want to take accountability for their actions. So those are the root issues about men, and you're gonna see all these behaviors. So they just lack emotional maturity. That's the main thing for me, I would say. They lack emotional maturity. That's number one. And empathy and so on. And they're insecure, yes. And they lack self-awareness and accountability. Some men, they just don't have the skills, or they don't know how to be in a relationship. They don't know how to build a healthy relationship. They don't know what they're doing, right? So one of the major hard truth about men. So a man actually asked me this: what is one of the main truths about men that you realize? And it's that no matter how much love you give, no matter how much you sacrifice yourself, you be patient with men. You're waiting for change, you're waiting for them to be better. Most men are not going to change, right? So when we're young, we enter in relationships and we believe that if I give you enough love, and if I be loyal, and if I be understanding, that would make the man be more respectable. Then he would commit, then he would care, then he would understand, then he would be more understanding, then he would be more loving and try to work on it, being available to me. But we eventually realized there's nothing we could do. There's nothing a woman could do to make a man better, to change a man. Most men are going to stay the same, or they're gonna get worse, right? No woman could convince a man to do what he don't want to do. And if you do it, it might just be for a week, a few months, and back to the same or worse. Men, they do not change their program. They're not going to change up their goals or what they're interested in, or they're not going to change for anybody, right? Most men only care about the benefits that they're getting from you. They aren't with you because they genuinely, most men are not with you because they genuinely love you, they genuinely care about you as a human, as a woman. They just care about what they're getting, the benefits that you provide, right? That is what you're going to see. So now I'm going to move on to hard truths about friendships, right? So not everybody is your friend, right? Some people, and I'm not being judgmental, some people just enjoy your company. They just enjoy your personality. They just enjoy being around. They like your character, but they're not going to support you when it matters. They're not going to support you when you really need it. They're not going to help you in a hard circumstance. They just enjoy your company, right? So people could just enjoy your company, but you're not going to expect them to support you when it matters, right? That's what you should kind of look out for. And the next thing is just some friends are just based on convenience, right? They just last because they work the same place. They last because you're going to the same school, you're going to the same college, you're going to the same university at that time, and you're friends. It's convenience. You live nearby, you live in the same neighborhood, so you're friends. But when the circumstances change, friendships could just fade away, and that's normal, right? So you don't have to feel sad or feel like you've lost this great friendship because university is now ended, everybody need to go back to their country. Like it's just normal, it's just convenience, right? Next thing is that being successful could change how your friendships are. Some friends will celebrate your growth, but sometimes as you grow or as you change, different lifestyle, different priorities, your friend, you could become distant, right? Some friends could even be starting to compete with you, and as you get successful, you get better, you want to be better, they could start to get jealous and envious of you, and that could cause problem in friendships, and that's normal, right? Next thing that not everybody want the best for you. You could be friends with someone and you realize as time passes, not everybody want the best for you. Some people, they could be friends with you once you're on the same level, and if you start to I'm saying again, if you start to improve yourself, you get a better job, whatever is happening, possessions, whatever gifts you got, moving up in life, different priorities, they're gonna be uncomfortable with that growth. Taking better care of yourself, losing weight, being with having better relationships, getting a new job, getting a promotion, all of these things could cause your friends to feel uncomfortable with you. They could be friends with you if you stay at the same level as them. That, to me, that's not a really true friend, but that is just like the reality of friendships, right? And next thing is that loyalty is tested during difficult times, right? It's easy for people to just be around you and be friends when everything is going well than when you're struggling. So you'll actually see who your friends really are when you have a hard circumstance, right? When you lost a job, when you break up, when someone died in your family, or I don't know, yeah, financial difficulties, mental health problems, any hard circumstance, that when these things happen to you, you start to see who your friends really are, not the ones who just there for enjoyment, just there to party, just there to drink, just there to for the good times, right? And then that's fine if you have friends just for good times. But I'm just saying, you see loyalty when you go through the difficult times. You see real friends when you go through difficult times. And nothing is wrong with the friends that you have that are just there to for good times. You know, it's up to you how you handle your friendships and what you want to keep in your life, right? And the next thing is that you could outgrow people, right? As you become an adult, your values could change, or you develop new values, you develop new goals, your lifestyle change, right? And you just naturally outgrow your friends. It's natural. Friendships just naturally end because you have new goals now, you have a different lifestyle. Some people, they start having children, they get married, they move away, they have new values, they have new goals, and those goals and those new interests that they have and their life changes, it might not have enough space to maintain a friendship, and then your friendship just naturally end, right? People change, you know. A close friend today might have different priorities a few years from now. The priorities change, yeah. They're more focused on their career now. Their career comes first, because obviously, to me, I know friendship takes time. It's not like you just friends randomly and you just continue to be friends just out of nothing. Friendship takes time and investment, so people might start to put their career first, and then your friendships start to fade because they put in their career first, they got married, they have children, they have different lifestyle. Your lifestyle is not the same, different goals, different stages in life, and you just outgrow people, right? Sometimes friends are just attracted to what you could provide. These people might not be real friends. They value that you could help them, you know. They like that you have connections. You could lend them money, you know. You're good at supporting them emotionally, right? They don't really value you as a person. They like that you listen to them. They like that you have space for them. They like that you give good advice, right? They like that you have connections with these people, right? So people could just be attracted to you just because of that. And yes, you could be friends with them, but it might not be a real friendship. And that is fine, just to have, like, it's like an acquaintance, or just like a surface level friendship, you know. The next thing about friendships is that trust takes time to earn, you know. It takes time to trust someone. And I don't think when you're friends with when you have a true friend, true friendship should be able to withstand conflict. It should be able to survive disagreements, you know. Both people should be able to communicate respectfully without ending the friendship. And that is when you see a real friendship, when you could have disagreements and you apologize and you come back, right? That's one way that I see true friendships, when people are willing to resolve conflict, put their pride aside, understand from the other person's perspective, right? The next thing about friendships is that some friendships could be one-sided, and one-sided friendships are very exhausting. One person, I experienced this, could be always initiating. They're planning the outings, you know. One friendship is always giving, one person is always giving, one person is always compromising, right? And these one-sided friendships, it could be stressful, it could be exhausting, it's not fulfilling. You're wondering, why am I friends with these people when I'm the only one who planning the event, when I'm the only one who reach out? And if you don't reach out, if you don't text them, you don't call them, you don't try to meet them, you hear nothing. And it's one-sided, and it's up to you if you want to end that friendship or not. More than likely you should end it, because one-sided friendship is not fulfilling, it's not satisfying, and it's exhausted, right? You don't feel valued. And next thing about friendships is that some people, they gossip about their friends. You're friends with someone, you think you trust them, you think you can trust them, and you share private information, and then they take that information and they do many things with it, and they share it with other people. They speak negatively behind your back. They're spreading rumors, they're talking behind your back, they're damaging your trust. So all of these things you need to look out for, right? Friends could be jealous, they envious, they are friends. They're not your real friends. Real friends are not jealous and envious. And jealousy and envy could be, natural emotion, feeling that comes about. But if it's not managed, then there's the problem, right? Jealousy and envy among friends, it shouldn't create tension. If you naturally feel jealous, you naturally feel envious, that's what you need to work on. Your insecurity, there's something that you need to work on. If it's causing tension, it's causing problem, right? These people who are jealous of you, envious of you, they call your friends, might not really be your friends. And it might not be worth it trying to continue the friendship, right? The next thing is that you can't force somebody to be your friend. You can't force somebody to value you. You can't force somebody to reach out to you, to call you, to check on you. You can't force somebody to initiate outings. You can't force them. Genuine friendship is like mutual. People just click sometimes, right? And basically, it's not that friendships don't last. People say, oh, they change up, they change. That's why we're not friends again, because they switch up or whatever. Sometimes it's just like people just grow. They're developing themselves as an individual. They have new values. They have different priorities. It's not that they switch up, they change up or whatever. They have a new lifestyle now. They have different goals, and this often evolve into people just going into a different direction, and your friendship fades, and that's normal, right? Some friendships, they're just based on convenience. You share the same environment, you're on the same stage in your life, and that's it. It's not that you're deeply compatible with them. You walk the same place, you're going the same school, and your friends. It's convenience, and that's normal, and you move on, right? Friendships, they could end because poor communication, right? They could end because it's one-sided. Friendships could end because people are so jealous and they envious of your growth. Friendships end because they betray you, they lie on you, they spread rumors, they share your private information. Friendship ends because people don't want to resolve conflict. I experienced that before. They don't want to resolve the conflict. They don't want to work out the issue. They just decide that they don't want to be friends anymore. And sometimes friendships end because people they drift apart over time. It just fade over time. Can't force anybody to keep close in contact with you. People, their lifestyle change. They have different priorities. They have different goals. They are prioritizing their career now. They are married now. They have children. And friendship takes time, and they might not have the time to do that, and you're at a different stage in your lives, and it's not compatible, right? So not everybody is meant to stay forever. Some people are only meant to be like at a particular part in your life. At that point, you're at this chapter in your life, and they're there, and when a chapter over, it fades. And that's normal, and that is part of adulthood, and that is just part of like everybody growing, right? So if you didn't watch part 1, I'm just going to go through some of the things I was talking about in part 1 about family now, because I realize some people, they might watch part 1 and they never watch part 2, or they watch part 2 and they never watch part 1. So for family dynamics, family relationships, while growing up and approaching adulthood, we had this expectation or this belief that, our parents or our family members will always be there to support us, and they will always be there to guide us. And this is just briefly about family. If you want to hear more, you check part 1, right? We think that they're gonna be there to support us. We think our parents is gonna be there to guide us and provide advice and protect us from harm, especially when we need it the most. And as time passes and we become an adult, you realize like you don't have that safety net with your family. You don't have that safety. Your parents it's not gonna be there to support you. Your parents is not gonna be there to guide you, right? They're not gonna be there to give you advice. They're not gonna be there to give you support, right? And that reality will hit you, right? And you realize like some parents and some family members, they might not be there for you in hard times. They might not be there for you when you have a hard circumstance. And you will feel a lot of disappointment with this, right? And unfortunately, you would have to face life on your own. And the disappointing thing and the hurtful thing is that you're gonna see other people your age getting encouragement, no matter the age, 25, 30, 35, 40, whatever. You see other people your age getting encouragement from their parents, getting advice, getting financial support, and their parents passing down money to them, their parents passing down property to them. You're gonna see other people that your age, you're gonna see their parents passing land to them, passing investments down to them, passing down their business to them, passing down different possessions, even before they die. There's some parents out there, before they die, they're already passing down this gift to their children. Some early inheritance they got, right? They transfer the business to their children as a gift before they die, and you're gonna see this, and it's gonna cause you to feel like disappointed and sad and unfortunate, right? You realize you have to depend on yourself and self-reliance and being independent and being strong and getting through things on your own. It comes with sadness, it comes with disappointment, it comes with grief, it comes with loss, because who you thought would be there for you, they're absent, or they could be present and they're just not able to give you what you need. And that is the reality of life, right? So that is just a brief overview or a hard truth about family and parents, right? The next thing that I touch on in part 1, if you didn't watch part 1, is about work and work dynamics, so I actually didn't really mention this point in part 1. I will mention it now, is that, and especially for me, when I was younger, I thought that hard work brings success. I genuinely thought that, and we hear that growing up, hard work brings success, and you believe it when you're young and you actually get into the workplace. You actually start to work and you have good work ethic, you're punctual, You work as a team, you put your best foot forward, you use your knowledge, you use your talents, you use your gifts, and you believe that you would progress and you would achieve your goals. That's what I believed when I was younger. And that's what you heard them adults saying, hard work brings success. And you must be on time, and you should work as a team. I heard this growing up, put your best foot forward and all of these things, which are good things to do. It's good to have good work ethic. It's good to be on time, work as a team, put your best foot forward, use your knowledge and talents and all of this. You have to do that, and you should continue to do that. But when you enter the workplace, you get this rude awakening that workplace's career is influenced by other factors beyond performance. Right? Career advancement, what we see when we actually enter the workplace is that career advancement is influenced by favoritism, by networking, by the timing, by the leadership quality, the type of leadership you have there at that moment, by the priorities the organization have at that time, the priorities of the institution, the priorities of the company, what the boss want. That is what career advancement is kind of, it's focused on. Most of the time, that's how you advance. Favoritism, networking, the people that you know, who you know. And you get into the workplace, and you actually interact with people beside your parents, and they say, it's who you know. Networking, And what we realize also is that if you're somebody who like fairness, like me, I like fairness, I like equality, I like to see things done right. I see through people's intentions. I like to see justice. You see what's really going on in the workplace. They will try to actually push you out. They will try to push you out of your position. They will try to get you fired. Why? They don't want you in the environment because they want to be free to manipulate the environment and to manipulate different employees so that they could rig the system and they could get their way, so that they could rig the system in peace without you getting in the way. They want to break the rules in peace. That's why they will try to push you out of your position and get you fired or get you to quit, right? When you care about your job, this is what I see, what I learned growing up as an adult, in adulthood, being in work environments. When you care about your job and you care about what you do and you care about the service that you give, you care about how you treat people, you care about delivering the best service without any judgment, more than likely you're gonna meet some corrupt leader. You're gonna meet corrupt leaders, you're gonna meet corrupt employers, you're gonna meet people, managers, leaders, bosses who lack integrity, and it's gonna affect you from moving forward. You're gonna get pushed out, you're gonna get fired, you're gonna get transferred to a different institution just because of the knowledge that you have, the wisdom that you have, the experience that you have, the talents that you have, the gifts that you have. They're gonna send you to a different institution or organization, or try to get you fired or push you out or try to get you to quit because you see all the corruption. That is what the workplace is all about, right? That is the hard truth about workplace. And I'm not saying, oh no, you're not gonna work hard. You have to work hard, you have to be on time, you have to work as a team, you have to use your knowledge, use your wisdom, use your talents, put your best foot forward. We're doing all of this, yes, but it doesn't mean that it's gonna bring you success, right? Maybe it can for some people, but if it don't, the reason why is the favoritism, it's networking, it's who you know, it's the corruption, it's the lack of integrity, lack of character building, right? So if there's one thing adulthood taught me is that life is not simple, it's not a straight path that we imagine it would be. And some of the hardest lessons, it don't come from books. Some of the hardest lessons I learned, it never come from book, it never come from parents, it never come from school. It just comes from living life. It just comes from raw experience of being outside living life, of getting involved in romantic relationships with men, of going in toxic workplaces, of living with family and seeing people who they really are. It's we learn these adult truth, these hard lessons from disappointment. We learn these truths from difficult relationships. We learn them from loss. We learn them from toxic workplace. We just simply realizing that the world doesn't work the way that we hope it would work, the way that we thought it would work, But anyways, these lessons that we learn across, our experience, it makes us wiser, it makes us more knowledgeable. These lessons teach us to have better relationships, to choose better people or not, to have better workplace, to choose a better workplace environment, to protect our peace from toxic family members, toxic romantic partners, to choose our self-worth, to have healthy boundaries, and to have, better values, develop ourselves, to choose our friendships wisely, and to just be more intentional. Just basically, these lessons just teach us to be more intentional about how we are living life, right? So that's the end of this video. That's the hard truths about adulthood I have learned on my own. This is part 2. You could check out part 1. You could like the video. You could share the video with somebody who needs to hear this. You could comment below different truths about life that you experience while growing up in adulthood. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.